Reading this book prepared by Diane Tavina, uh, I've made some notes as well. Lots of thoughts have been going around in my mind. Prominent among them is how to make school more relevant as an institution, because as fast as online learning is becoming prominent, the repositories of knowledge are moving online, and there need to be some differentiating factors in the school that we are envisioning, which will ensure that students keep on coming to the school. We need to have something which differentiates uh, the school from the online learning. Of course, there are things which cannot be imparted online, but then going future, I need to think of an organization which will sustain 100 period time, or 100 year period time, or 200 year period time. The school should not go out of relevance in just a few years, 50 years, because 50 years down the line, there may be a whole virtual world wherein holograms are taking place of students need not go only through virtual, they can sit at their home, maybe have their virtual headset. They need not even go to the school premises, and they can carry out some physical activities there too, virtually, while connected to many students around the globe. And the school may not remain just to local students coming into the classroom. The classroom will become a global classroom, wherein through that virtual headset, people from across the globe are interacting with each other. Maybe a group of 50, 100, but then they're interacting with each other, they are learning together, they are exchanging their ideas. So that is a possibility 50 years down the line. Right now, okay, if that kind of vision is there, we need to start thinking, we need to keep that thing in mind, and uh, start working backwards. But then I believe that whatever the basics are, or whatever I sow now is what will grow on later. And certain basic human things will not go out of fashion anyways, right? Empathy will not go out of fashion, emotional quotient will not go out of fashion. Even though technology comes in, we have to impart to the students certain qualities, certain things which will enable them to face the challenges of the future. So what I have to do is I have also to start mm, thinking about what challenges, anticipating what challenges the students might face in future, because times are changing so fast. But then the schools that I see today, they haven't adapted to the whole situation. The sad part is that certain things like emotional quotient are not even part of the syllabus, or financial learning, or the financial education, which needs to be there right from standard 1, that isn't there, which is a very sad thing. I don't know why the schools are not adapting that fast, or maybe I don't know what curriculum different schools are using. I'm talking about general public schools. I need to go. I will be attending, like I said last time, I may be attending uh, a few classrooms or schools, lectures in schools, just to understand how they are going about with things, right? So I started reading this book from Diane, and she starts telling about this young kid who wanted to enroll in our school. She mentions Summit's promises that everyone will go to college, which is a great promise, considering that a lot of students drop out in US. Even here, I guess a lot of students drop out, and to be eligible for college, there need to be certain scores that the students need to have, and certain other requirements. So Summit's problem is that everyone will go to the college. We need to think of the promise that we need to make, one promise, and in alignment to which all other actions, whatever we are deciding, it needs to be in alignment with this promise that that is being made. So I need to think about what promise my should show my school should have. Uh, what all kids want is to be able to live a life they want to live, to be happy, successful, and true to themselves. They want opportunity to someone. Nobody wants to be saved or helped. They want opportunities. If we create enough opportunities for them, the students are able to save themselves or help themselves out. That is what she means. So I need to think about my whole approach. My whole approach. If I have students from not so well to do background, I cannot have a helping approach. I need to create opportunities so that they are able to grab that opportunities. Also, I understood that previously I was thinking about making a school for students right from junior KG to 12th standard, but then Summit is not for the younger kids, I guess. It is for kids from maybe 12-year-old kids. So that is what I believe. So again, now I need to think whether I should start a school from junior KG, or do I think of a school which is from maybe fourth standard or fifth standard, like that. So I need to give that a thought. The other thing which is very important and which will help me differentiate the school from the online tutoring, or the online tutoring too has mentors, okay, but then what you're talking about are mentors who go beyond just talking about studies, right? Every student has a mentor who is also a teacher, okay. Then she goes on to list what all things the role that the mentor does. What is the role of a mentor? So our mentors had developed special relationships with students they coached and supported. Each mentor was someone the students trusted, whom they could talk to, who cared about them and their success, who met with them daily, had eaten meals at their homes with their families, and had been their advocate. Now, what is happening here, from what I understood, from what we understand here is that the mentor is not just limited to the academic part. The mentor is supposed to understand the thought process of the kid as to what is happening in the kid's mind. Also, what is the background of the kid, how the parents are, what is happening at their home. So, mentor is not just looking at their academics. The mentor is also taking care of the emotion, the emotional quotient of the student. So the question here that I need to start thinking about is, what is the class size that we are looking at? How many students under one mentor? Given that it is India, the number of students I need to, once I decide on the class size, I can decide on this, how many students under one mentor. But then when I have to decide on the class size, I need to think, whether this is going to be financially viable, sustainable, because only when I decide on a proper class size to have, right, only then, because all the things should have add up. I need to have enough money there. Will having a mentor really help? I think it will definitely help, because uh, we as humans, we have different needs, right? To grow up completely, to develop fully in various aspects, we need people who can empathize with us, who can understand what we are going through, who can tell us as to how to mm, face certain situations. So for all this, having a mentor is a good thing that can happen to us. Online, this will not easily happen, right? Online, it is going to be difficult to have that kind of mentor right now, at least right now. We want things to be financial. Yeah. Sometimes our mentors worked with the students to clarify their academic goals, but just as often they helped them sort through a problem at home or navigate a stressful social dynamic. The mentors' efforts complemented those of family members. Together, they committed to supporting the student that day and into the future. Now, this what she mentions here is very important. The mentor's efforts complemented those of the family members. She's saying that the mentor's efforts are complementing the efforts of the family members. So the efforts of the family members are more important here, right? The efforts of the family members are more important here. The mentors' effort are only complementing the efforts of the family members. What is happening here in India is that most of the parents believe, okay, now that I've invested so much in school, the school should be able to take care of everything. Most of the parents are working, and I understand they don't have enough time. They need to relax a bit on their weekends as well. But then they need to understand that just sending or investing money on students is not going to give them the, you know, optimal environment for learning to happen or for them to grow. So what I believe, like I mentioned last time also, we cannot just, here, like I mentioned, we need to have a school for parents as well. And I was thinking about this thought, right? If I need to make a school for parents for maybe 26 weekends or something like that, whether an online or an offline model will work, because most of the parents would not want to venture out on their weekends. They have their own plans, right? And if I want them to commit 26 weekends or something like that, just for me to make them understand as to what kind of environment needs to be there in school, what is expected out of them, what kind of financial responsibilities they are going to have, what kind of financial provisions they need to make, all these things will depend on on the module that I make, the product that I'm going to make here, right? So I need to think whether I need to have this online or offline, because I'm not too sure if I go online, it is going to, maybe I can democratize it. I can have an online course as well as offline course. So that is what is going on in my mind right now. Let's see. But then having, because if I need to control the growth of my students, whoever is coming to my school, I need to have complete control. I cannot just control the time which is just at school. I need to take care of what the parents are doing. If the parents are continuously fighting at home, the student is not going to be able to perform in school, or neither are they going to be able to focus on what is happening in school. And the kind of development which I require for them to be able to face things in future, that kind of development will not happen, or maybe the student may drop out as well. So I need to have a preparatory course for family members, which is all the more focused here by this statement of Diane. So my mom was giving this inputs of a role of a family in helping the student. She was saying that if what happens is, especially in middle class families, wherein middle or lower middle class families, wherein the fight, or maybe the parents are usually thinking about making financial provisions for their kids day in and day out. All the time they are just thinking about how am I going to be able to provide to the students or the kid, uh, how am I going to save enough money for Diwali, save enough money for festivals or whatever, right? So if that kind of thought process is there all the time, the family anyways does not have time to look after the kid. The family, because the mind is there just behind money as to what is going to happen, what is not going to happen, and they're just worried all the time. So if I have students who are from lower middle class or middle class families, and even higher, maybe those who are affluent also, it is not that it is all peace in their families. There are a lot of troubles happening, strained relationships and all that, and every day there are quarrels happening everywhere, right? So I need to address these problems, which will make the environment at home a bit more conducive for the students. So I so that is what my mom told, that she herself is a tuition teacher. She taught for many years, and especially to students who are underprivileged or not so well to do, and she knows the inside out of the psyche of the parents there. The parents there too, just because they're just thinking about how to earn, what is going to happen. They just expect that if I send the student to a tuition or a school, they should be able to do everything, but that is not going to happen, and the student is not going to be able to face challenges later on. So that is the issue that she put forward. So all in all, I believe that the mentor is very important, and yes, maybe I can have I can reposition the mentor. I can think about the role of the mentor. Maybe I can increase the scope or decrease the scope. But then having a mentor, just to understand what is the purpose that the mentor is serving, is that to get an additional view of what the student is going through, so as to enable them, or to I'm not going to I'm not going to use the word help, but then just so as to empower them, or making them understand as to how to tackle different situations. That is where mentors will come in. That is where they will help the students, and therefore I believe that mentors are important. uh, is there going to be a need for me to think in an Indian context about mentors? Yes, maybe I'll have to think as to maybe there should be a different Indian context to this. uh, I don't know if it is going to be drastically different, or maybe I can just use the template. Of course, there are already many mentorship programs happening right across schools, but then I need to define what is the scope of the mentor. What do I expect the mentors to do? Diane has the scope that she's mentioned here is fantastic. I need to revise. I need to go through it and specifically define as to what is the scope, what is it that I expect, and keep on revising the same. Because 50 years down the line, if the school has to be there, what is the role that the mentor will play 50 years down the line? So whoever is handling that the school, then they should be able to build on that. So I need to think like that.